Since Lucifer the TV series started coming out in January 2016, I've had a few friends ask me if I had watched it and what I thought about it. I replied that I had watched the first 2 episodes as they had come out, read the synopsis for the 3rd episode, and decided against watching any more. I also mentioned that I was a fan of the comic books, and the rest evolved into increasingly incoherent ranting. The premise of both the TV and comic book series is that after a very long time, Lucifer got sick of hell, so he decided to leave. He then sets up a nightclub in LA where he's a piano singer. It's at this point the comics and TV series diverge dramatically. In the comics, Lucifer has a grand goal which he works towards, using all his power and cunning, to no longer play the role assigned to him but to truly escape God's plan. In the TV series, he teams up with an LAPD detective to help solve crimes. So, the reason I initially rage quit at the 2nd episode. Not the only reason, but the thing that tipped me over the edge. Lucifer, a being of untold age and power, honks imaginary breasts. This is unbecomingly childish behaviour from the former Lord of Hell. However, I decided that if I really wanted to compare Lucifer the comic to Lucifer the TV series, I would have to watch more than 2 episodes. So here I am, the full, at time of writing, 26 episodes later, and though he and it does have its moments, TV Lucifer never stops being annoying. The comic book series has a huge range of gods and monsters, but the one that holds all of creation together is Yahweh. That's the scale the comic books work on. So we have Lucifer. He's manipulative and selfish. His respect, though not impossible to obtain, is hard won. He does not lie or break his word. He would destroy billions of souls if there was no one around to stop him and they were even a little bit in his way. Lucifer and his brother Michael are one step removed from the ultimate power in the universe. As such, their powers are vast and vague. It's also why the comic had to contrive several reasons for him to lose his power for different occasions. The first one of these, the House of Windowless Rooms, put it best. The Lightbringer has nothing save his wit and his will. I find this fails to console me overmuch. These arcs showed Lucifer at his best, using the weapons his enemies plan to use against him, against them. Lucifer, and indeed all the celestial beings that populate the TV show, are rather underpowered. The TV series made an effort to define and limit his power, which is not a stupid change. I didn't want or expect a series about the struggles of running a small business whilst also being the second most powerful entity in the whole of creation. I also didn't want or expect it to be a series about a mismatched crime-solving duo, but nonetheless that's what I got, and that is a stupid change. I really cannot think of a reason they went down this route. It's certainly not that crime shows are underserved. There are even a fair few supernatural crime dramas. Generally though, when a show has supernatural elements, it's either something everyone knows about and they need a specialist to actually work with the weirdness, or it's something only a select few know about and they need to work to both solve the problem and maintain the perceived status quo. The crimes committed in Lucifer, with very few exceptions, are well within what the police, people who aren't the first to suspect magic, are capable of dealing with. Ordinary people using ordinary methods for ordinary reasons. It's a bloodier version of Scooby-Doo, but just Daphne and Fred's the devil for some reason. Possibly because they realise that getting rid of the most interesting characters from Scooby-Doo was a bad idea, they add in Velma for the 2nd season, but it's too little too late. I also have to mention the various character changes, if only to say yes, I'm very aware of the character changes. Mazakeen perhaps went through the least dramatic change from her comic book counterpart. When she was introduced in Sandman, half the flesh of her face was missing. In fact, she hid behind a half mask when there were living humans around. Not always successfully. But this only lasted until issue 8 of Lucifer. Her voice also changed, making her considerably easier to understand. In both the comic book and TV series, she grows to be a more compelling character as the series progresses. Amenadiel gets quite the dramatic change, going from a short white guy with long grey hair to a tall black guy with no hair, but it's the personality that's the odd thing. In the comics, Amenadiel doesn't get much of a personality, except that he wants to fight and win against Lucifer. Though this seems character accurate at first, it doesn't take long for him to more resemble Michael, in that he's the oldest brother and doesn't always blindly follow the word of God, as well as a certain story-critical role. Lucifer is also different. That he looked perhaps more generically devilish was a bit disappointing, but not necessarily bad. TV Lucifer isn't very good at being bad, though. He acts responsible for the lives he touches and grows easily to care for and respect most of the recurring characters. That is a change that matters, and like the cosmetic changes, I wouldn't be against it if it didn't come with that grating childishness. When he bargains his way out of situations, you get the feeling he's getting the worst part of the deal. Pretty much everyone else doesn't change from their comic book counterparts, because they don't have comic book counterparts. I want to say Elaine goes from being a schoolgirl who can communicate with ghosts to a police officer and mother called Chloe, but I'm really stretching. There are clearly some fans of the comic working for the show who pepper references around. Trixie seems to like Neil Gaiman books. They name one of the characters Mike Carey, and in the same episode, one of the people of the Satanist church tells Lucifer he's supposed to be blonde. My favourite one so far is the time Mazakeen wears a "Normal Consciousness Will Be Resumed" t-shirt, something that makes no sense in the context of the show. I'm clearly in the minority, as the show's getting a third season and is by no means badly reviewed, but in my opinion Lucifer fails both as an adaptation and as a series in its own right. I keep circling back to two things. The title character lacks the charm and wit he should have, and the Murder of the Week format isn't interesting enough. So are the books better? Very much yes. I could take or leave Lucifer Nirvana, and I'm trying to pretend I haven't read the first volume of the 2015 Lucifer revival. But Sandman Presents Lucifer and the 75-issue 2000 to 2006 series are very enjoyable.